Hello, back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with some more updates coming out from the war between Russia and Ukraine, and I've got lots of big news to share with you today. So, today is shaping out to be a very interesting day, as we heard just hours ago on mainstream news that Russia supposedly fired an intercontinental ballistic missile, or ICBM, striking Ukraine. This is video footage coming out from the Dnipro area, which is in southeastern Ukraine, and what looks like multiple re entry vehicles coming in through the atmosphere, and this possibly indicating that this could have been an ICBM. So, Volodymyr Zelensky was coming out and stating that this for sure was an ICBM, and then we soon after that had US officials stating that this was not an ICBM, that it was actually a medium range ballistic missile that was being fired. And then soon after that, we also had a report from the Russian president, Vladimir Putin. He put out a statement, and I will show you guys that statement in a separate video later today. He claimed that Russia has used a new hypersonic ballistic missile. This is a medium range missile called the Oreshnik. Okay, and apparently this is an experimental missile that Russia just tested today onto Ukraine, and that apparently is what you were seeing coming in through the sky there, striking into the Dnipro region. So we're going to talk some more about this today. I also have some reports as well from Ukraine that apparently in Kryvyi Rih, also in the city of Dnipro, coming under attack by missiles fired from Russia last night. As we were hearing that Russia was preparing a pretty major attack with missiles. Looks like they launched at least 6 to 12 or something like that last night. A good amount of them striking into Ukraine. So I have some pictures and videos coming out from those areas that came under attack. And then also, we had reports of some drones that may have come from Ukraine also striking some of the regions of where this ballistic missile may have come from. Okay, so it looks like maybe Ukraine was responding to this and possibly trying to target the site of where this medium-range ballistic missile came from, the Oreshnik hypersonic missile. So we're going to talk some more about this today. Let me give you guys some more information. We're going to start out with this report on United 24 Media. It says Putin confirms test launch of Oreshnik medium-range ballistic missile against Ukraine. Okay, this just coming out today, November 21st, 2024. So we'll go over this briefly, and then I have a bunch of things on X and video footage to show you on over on X. We'll hop over there in just a second. Russian leader Vladimir Putin announced that Russia had launched the latest ballistic hypersonic missile, Oreshnik missile, at Ukraine. The announcement was made during his address on November 21st. Putin claimed it was a test launch of this advanced missile. According to Putin, currently there are no means to counter Russian Oreshnik missiles. The details and technical specifications of Oreshnik missile are unknown. Earlier, Ukrainian Air Forces reported that Russia launched an intercontinental ballistic missile, or ICBM, on the city of Dnipro, Ukraine, for the first time since the start of the full-scale invasion. So this is very big news, okay? The first time we have seen a nuclear-capable missile like this new Oreshnik missile being used, obviously sending a huge message not only to Ukraine but also to the West, all the Western nations, especially the UK and the US, who has been allowing Ukraine to utilize their long-range missiles to strike targets inside of Russia. And again, I will show you guys the full report coming from Vladimir Putin later today in another update video. But let's hop on over to X. We've got video footage of this medium-range hypersonic ballistic missile being used. So for Vicegrad 24, new video shows Russian ICBM strike against Dnipro this morning. It's the first time in human history that an ICBM has been used in a war. Incredible footage. So note that many of these posts that I show you guys are all labeling this as an ICBM. Now, again, we know for sure it is not an ICBM. It is a medium-range hypersonic ballistic missile that was used from Russia. But this is the video footage I was showing you guys over on the waiting screen when you came in. We can see these multiple re-entry vehicles coming in and striking into Dnipro, okay? So that's it, full screen right there for you. Now, again, many of these posts are going to talk about ICBMs, but just remember it is not an ICBM. It is a medium-range ballistic missile that was fired, okay? So also from Fabian Hoffman, please don't get caught up on the range of the missile system launched. Whether it was an ICBM or an IRBM, the range isn't the important factor. The fact it carried an MIRV or MIRVed payload is much more significant for signaling purposes and is the reason Russia opted for it. This payload is exclusively associated with nuclear capable missiles. So, this would explain what we were seeing in that video there, as it did look like multiple re-entry vehicles, and I pulled up what an MIRV is for you here on Wikipedia, just in case this is exactly what we saw there. So multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicle, and it says a multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicle MIRV is an exo-atmospheric ballistic missile payload containing several warheads, which each capable of being aimed to hit a different target. The concept is almost invariably associated with intercontinental ballistic missiles carrying thermonuclear warheads, even if it is not strictly being limited to them. An intermediate case is the multiple re-entry vehicle MRV missile, which carries several warheads which are dispersed but not individually aimed. All nuclear weapon states except Pakistan and North Korea are currently confirmed to have deployed MIRV or MIRV missile systems. Israel is suspected to possess or be in the process of developing MIRVs. Okay, so as we can see here, multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles, and that explains what we saw in that video. That definitely sounds like what was being described here, comparing to that video that we saw there, and I've got more videos to show you guys of these MIRVs coming in. Okay, so from ViceGrad24 breaking, another video shows the first ever intercontinental ballistic missile used in a war hitting the Ukrainian city of Dnipro. The video shows several re-entry vehicles from the missile's MIRV hitting the city center. So we can see more of these re-entry vehicles coming in, striking inside of Dnipro here in this video. Then we got a couple more that we can show you as well. Okay, also from Max24, Russia likely has limited number of experimental missiles, including Oreshnik, used on Dnipro, according to CNN. This was a new video coming out here as well. The U.S. knew about the possibility of using these missiles and warned Ukraine and other countries in advance. So this is like a 57-second clip, but we're only going to watch a little bit of it. You'll kind of see them coming in over here somewhere. Here we go right there. There's a few of them striking in. I think there was at least 5 or 6 that struck inside of Dnipro. We can see them consistently coming in. So that's pretty much all we were able to see here from this video, was just the first few seconds there. Okay, moving on to another update from Nexta. Russia has not sent notification to the United States or other countries of its intention to use the Oreshnik hypersonic missile against a defense industrial complex facility in Ukraine. No, there have been no notifications because Russia has no obligation with regard to medium-range missiles, Peskov said. So it looks like Russia did not notify the United States or any other countries of their intention to use this and fire one of these onto Ukraine. And it looks like, according to Dmitry Peskov, who is the Kremlin spokesman, him stating that they don't basically have to notify anybody whenever they plan to fire these. So, okay, so this is very big news that they launched this into Ukraine. And again, a very big message being sent to Ukraine that they do have nuclear capabilities if they wanted to strike Ukraine with one of these, and also a major warning to Western countries as well. Okay, also from ViceGrad24, the Russian ICBM that hit the Ukrainian city of Dnipro today used several re-entry vehicles to strike the city. Each re-entry vehicle weighs 1 ton and hits the ground with a speed of 4 kilometers per second, or 14,500 kilometers per hour, or 9,000 miles per hour. The impact of an RV or re-entry vehicle is 2 tons of TNT in addition to any explosive payload. So obviously, these ICBMs would be very powerful, and this is a picture of those re-entry vehicles coming in, and it looks very similar to kind of what we were seeing before. So pretty crazy. Just some information about ICBMs being used with these re-entry vehicles attached to them, okay? So also from Max24, media reports say it is part of the RS-26 Rubiz missiles warhead in Dnipro. So there was a picture that was being surfaced as well, supposedly indicating that this was a piece of that warhead. But again, it was not an RS-26 Rubiz, I think it's Rubiz missile. This was actually a Oreshnik medium-range ballistic missile that is hypersonic capability that struck Dnipro today. Okay, also from Syrian Girl, the so-called ICBMs launched by Russia. Look at the speed. This is the kind of escalation needed to stop the war. So this is a video as well showing also this missile striking inside of Dnipro. And from what we understand, I believe there was a Ukrainian military facility that was being targeted, is what the Kremlin was reporting as well. And that is supposedly what we are seeing being struck here in this attack. Okay, so pretty crazy to see that thing come in with such lightning speed. Also from Vicegrad 24, the Russian intercontinental ballistic missile strike against Ukraine. Today was the first time in history that an ICBM was used in the war. The Russians used the missile's MIRV technology to strike the city of Dnipro. This is how a MIRV attack looks like. So I pulled this up to show you guys also another photo of what a MIRV looks like as it's coming in. But again, from what we understand, this was not an ICBM. This was actually a medium-range ballistic missile that was being tested inside of Ukraine from Russia. Okay, moving on to more updates from Bliskovka. The arrival time of the Rubis ICBM from the Astrakhan region was less than 5 minutes, monitoring channels reported. THAAD complexes can shoot down such intercontinental ballistic missiles. Ukraine does not have them in service. Okay, so from what I understand, maybe the THAAD air defense system that Israel currently has right now, maybe if Ukraine had these, it might be able to shoot down intercontinental ballistic missiles coming in, according to this information. But right now, we know Ukraine does not have anything to shoot down ICBMs. If Russia decided to launch a nuclear attack onto Ukraine with ICBMs, they most likely would not be able to defend themselves. And the Russian president also claimed that this new Oreshnik missile that was used as well today, supposedly targeting Ukraine, could not be shot down with anything that the West has. Okay, so the West apparently has no air defense systems that could shoot this thing down. So that's obviously very scary if that happens to be true. So moving on to another update from Max 24, approximate route of Russian missiles, including intercontinental ballistic missile during today's attack. So this was showing the trajectory of these missiles as they were coming in. And it wasn't only this Oreshnik ballistic missile that was fired. There was also other missiles that were entering into Ukraine as well. And if you notice the trajectory of how they were flying, they went through Russian territory around over to the northern side, up near the Bryansk region and close to Belarus, before they entered in from the north and striking, as we can see here, heavy strikes over in the Dnipro region. Okay, this is down here southeastern Ukraine, so pretty crazy to see that. Okay, also from Volodymyr Zelensky, this was the original statement from him claiming that Russia had launched a new missile. It says, today our insane neighbor has once again revealed its true nature, its disdain for dignity, freedom, and human life itself, and most of all, its fear. Fear so overwhelming that it unleashes missile after missile, scouring the globe for more weapons, whether from Iran or North Korea. Today was a new Russian missile. Its speed and altitude suggest intercontinental ballistic capabilities. Investigations are ongoing. Okay, and so again, we can see here that he was claiming that he believed it was an intercontinental ballistic missile that was fired, but according to the Kremlin, it was not. It's clear that Putin is using Ukraine as a testing ground. It's also clear that he is terrified of normal life next to him, a life of where people live with dignity, a country that wants to be free and has the right to be independent. Putin will do anything to keep his neighbor from slipping out of his grasp, and I thank every Ukrainian, men and women alike, who defend Ukraine from this evil with resilience, bravery, and strength, with dignity. Dignity, it's one of the defining words for Ukraine, and it's a word that will likely never again be spoken about Russia. Okay, so this is a video of him basically stating the exact same thing that I just put up here for you guys. I don't want to drag this video out too long with another 2-minute video of him speaking, but that's basically what he was stating here in this address, and also claiming that Russia launching this new missile onto their territory. Okay, also from War Translated Dmitry, during the briefing, Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Zakharova received a phone call and was asked not to comment on the strike on the Dnipro by an intercontinental ballistic missile, but thanks to Masha's intelligence, no one heard anything. So basically, you're going to hear Maria Zakharova. She is the spokeswoman, for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for Russia, and she was giving a press conference. During the conference, she gets a phone call from somebody telling her not to speak about this ballistic missile that was fired. So take a look at this.
Так, с нами ли портал News.ru? Да. Алло. Да, у меня брифинг.
Я боюсь, Маша, удар баллистическими ракетами, о чем Западе не стали говорить, не комментирую вообще.
Да, хорошо, спасибо. С нами...
All right, interesting, right? So they had to call her and interrupt her in the middle of her briefing to let her know in advance not to speak about this ballistic missile. Maybe she was going to start speaking about it, but maybe they decided to cancel last minute telling her, and you can see the smirk on her face. She's like, oh, maybe I was about to go over that. And then obviously she was not allowed to comment on this, okay? So very interesting. Also from a Ukraine battle map, Ukraine shot down 6 of 9 missiles launched by Russia today. 6 or 7 of 85% of X-101 cruise missiles, 0 out of 1 or 0% of Kinzhal missiles, 0 out of 1 or 0% of an intercontinental ballistic missile launched at Dnipro, Ukraine by Russia for the first time. The CEP of these ICBMs is very inaccurate. Okay, so again, I understand it is talking a lot about intercontinental ballistic missiles, but it was not an ICBM. It was this Oreshnik medium-range hypersonic missile that was used. So this is a diagram coming up from Ukraine's defense ministry showing 6 of these X-101 cruise missiles that were shot down inside of Ukraine overnight. Now, apparently they're claiming that most of these were shot down, but I do have some reports to go over as some strikes inside of Ukraine, as we have this video here from Jay in Kiev. Another 40 victims this morning in the city of Kryvyi Rih as Russians struck with ballistic missiles on the residential area. So we've got 30 seconds here of destruction inside of Kryvyi Rih in Ukraine. Take a look at this. All right, so it looks like we had some pretty heavy strikes here in the city of Kryvyi Rih, which is Volodymyr Zelensky's hometown. And this town has been coming under attack quite a bit recently. We can see lots of debris all over the ground. Looks like some buildings nearby taking some damage, windows being blown out. So definitely came under attack by missiles last night. Also from Bliskovka, 2 people were wounded in a Russian shelling of Dnipro, the state emergency service reports. The building of a rehabilitation center for people with conditions was damaged. The boiler room was partially destroyed and windows were smashed. A fire broke out in a 2-story residential building in the private sector. An industrial enterprise and a garage cooperative were also damaged in the city. Here's some pictures coming out from Dnipro as well, as we have multiple buildings that were damaged in attacks, as there was definitely lots of shelling taking place in this area as well. And we know that Dnipro was one of the major cities that came under attack by missiles last night, including that medium-range ballistic missile that was fired from Russia as they tested that new missile. Okay, also for more translated Dmitry, drones were spotted this morning in the skies over Russia. The exact location is difficult to determine. Please write if you have any information. So lots of videos were coming out showing drones appearing in the skies over Russia just earlier this morning. This was after Russia had fired that new Oreshnik missile that they were testing onto Ukraine. And this is potentially maybe drones that were being fired to this area where the ballistic missile came from, possibly targeting the site of where they launched it at. Okay, so take a look at this, 59 seconds.
Где летит?
Над домом сейчас пролетит. Девки, пизда. Ёбаный ты сыр. А чё не сбивают? Вон летит, летит, летит.
Бац.
Сейчас-то так будет, да?
А я еще думал, это бензопила или нет. Охуеть. Это дрон.
All right, pretty crazy, right? We were able to see one of these drones getting shot down over here. This one right here, towards the end of this video, it actually got shot down by Russia's military. But yeah, definitely we had some drones flying into Russia again this morning. And again, I don't know exactly what the targets were. I don't have any information as of yet, but maybe we'll get some information here soon. But we definitely have been seeing Ukraine launching lots of drones into Russian territory recently. So this is just more continuation of Ukraine launching these attacks. Okay, moving on to more updates. Also from Max 24, Russia's weekend missile strikes hit 3 of 5 working thermal plants owned by Ukrainian power giant DTEK, and one of them is still offline, an industry source said, illustrating the severity of the latest blow to the national grid. So I think it was on Sunday that a huge attack we had inside of Ukraine. Yeah, I was not here that day, but we had a major missile attack. I think Russia fired over 200 missiles and drones into Ukraine that day, primarily targeting their electrical grid. And we had a lot of their substations and power plants that were damaged. And according to this information from DTEK, looks like they're stating that they hit 3 of their 5 working thermal power plants. So looks like major damage to their electricity grid already. And we already know that Ukraine has been battling power outages over there. Lots of times where they have several hours out of the day, sometimes upwards of 8 hours or more with no electricity, blackouts happening all over Ukraine consistently. And this is the worst time for this to happen because Ukraine is entering into winter. Okay, also, just wanted to show you this video as well from Trey Yingst, who is a chief foreign correspondent for Fox News. He's currently inside of Ukraine right now in Kiev. It says now air raid sirens sounding across Kiev. Okay, this was late into the early morning where we even had air raid sirens going on in Kiev, and I wanted to show you this to show you as well that it's also snowing inside of Kiev right now. Take a look. All right, my apologies if that was kind of loud, but as we can see, air raid sirens inside of Kiev early this morning. I'm not sure if they came under attack again around this time. I didn't hear anything of that. I think most of these strikes were taking place last night inside of Ukraine, but this is what it currently looks like inside of Kiev right now, okay? It is definitely starting to snow over there and get very cold. Okay, also from Anton Gerashenko, Putin has not been seen in public in 13 days. This is a record. Well, at least until today, because we had the video footage coming out from him stating that that they fired this new Oreshnik medium-range hypersonic ballistic missile, but apparently in public he has not been seen for quite a while now. And it says here, last time Putin was seen on November 7th at the Valdai Discussion Club meeting. Official accounts are only publishing video greetings and reports of the president's meetings, which were likely pre-recorded. Here's what sources in Russia are reporting. Indeed, recently Putin has been absent from his workplace and is receiving all reports exclusively via secure communication lines. Close associates are given the same standard response in such cases. He is undergoing a routine medical checkup and wellness program. However, what's really going on and where he actually is, no one knows. So interesting, right? I'm sure this doesn't really mean anything crazy. We have kind of seen things like this before where people will disappear for a little bit and then kind of come back. We heard about this with Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister for Russia as well. He kind of disappeared for a little while and then he all of a sudden showed up again. That'll probably be the case here with Vladimir Putin, but he did come out in that statement today talking about the new use of this Oreshnik ballistic missile, okay? Also from Globi News, breaking: Europe is preparing for World War III. Secret documents revealed Germany has begun making plans for the deployment of 800,000 troops in case Russia invades NATO. A 1,000-page war scenario plan called Operation Deutschland has been prepared. Okay, so we've been hearing about this for almost the last year, maybe longer now, that NATO is preparing for war with Russia. We also heard recently that I think up in Sweden, Finland, and also Norway, those countries are actively preparing their citizens for war with Russia as well, telling them to stock up on supplies, handing out pamphlets on how to be prepared for war, what to do if war breaks out. So, we've already been hearing this, that NATO and many European nations especially are preparing for war with Russia. Looks like we have even more preparations that are underway with this new Operation Deutschland being prepared, okay? Also from Nexta, the U.S. has imposed sanctions against Gazprom Bank. Gazprom Bank is one of the 3 largest banks in Russia. Previously, it was not subject to severe sanctions as it was used to make payments for Russian gas. United States has also imposed sanctions against BKS Bank, DOM, RF, Central Credit Bank, and a number of other credit organizations. Okay, so it looks like Russia's going to be having some issues with their banks and credit organizations, as many of their banks are being targeted now with sanctions. And we know that the West has been talking a lot recently about ramping up sanctions on Russia. So we're probably going to be seeing more and more sanctions packages going out towards Russia here in the very near future. And finally, one last thing to share with you guys from Nexta. Former AFU Commander-in-Chief Zaluzhny said that the Third World War has already begun. I believe that in 2024, we can absolutely definitely consider that the Third World War has begun, because in 2024, Ukraine is no longer facing Russia. In front of Ukraine are soldiers from North Korea. Iranian shaheeds are killing civilians in Ukraine quite openly without any shyness. Chinese shells are donated in Ukraine. Are detonated, in Ukraine. Chinese parts are used in Russian missiles, Zaluzhny said. So, I mean, he's not wrong about a lot of this stuff. We have been hearing a lot that the Chinese are getting involved with Russia. We even heard some reports recently that some drones may be coming directly from China over to Russia. We know that North Korea is heavily involved in the war. We've been talking about that a lot recently. And then obviously Iran has been supplying missiles and drones for Russia as well to launch strikes into Ukraine. So definitely lots of parties being involved in this war. And then think about, NATO being so heavily involved right now too, just recently allowing strikes inside of Russian territory using Western-made missiles. So I would have to at least partially agree with him that it definitely is shaping up to be a world war if it has not already started right now. So definitely some scary statements coming out from him as well. But let me know what you guys think down below in regards to that. Do you guys think World War III is already here? Or do you think that this is just escalation that's going to kind of go nowhere? Is this war going to get wild and crazy out of control? I mean, we already have a medium-range hypersonic missile that could have nuclear capabilities being tested on Ukraine today. So definitely there is some major escalation coming out from this war, but hopefully it does not turn into a full-fledged World War III. But let me know what you think down below. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. With that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.